Welcome to the Author to Authority podcast. And today I'm so happy to have Amanda Tobinski back on the show. Now, Amanda was on like quite a while ago. And, I was going through kind of my guests and I thought, who do I want to have back on? And Amanda did such an amazing podcast. And if you look in the show notes, you'll see the link to her first episode that we did. But I wanted to have her back. So welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me back, Kim. I am so thrilled to be here.
So Amanda is the founder of Magnetic Media Group and the creator of the Simple Ads Academy. And she has spent the last decade implementing lead generation strategies for business owners, entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, and authors, which happens to be the audience of the Author to Authority podcast. So through her programs and full service advertising agency, she helps business owners to leverage the power of Facebook ads to increase their visibility and grow their businesses without suffering from technology overwhelm. And if there is a time when we are suffering from technology overwhelm, it is now.
Definitely, this is certainly something that I hear quite often, especially because my background is in digital advertising. And that, when you first get into it, is for sure something that can cause some overwhelm for a lot of folks. So it's one of the things that I am very, very passionate about, is just simplifying it down to the most step-by-step process that it can possibly be, so that it makes something that's a little bit scary that much more accessible for everyone that should be using it to really increase that visibility.
Yeah, I know. Like, I use technology a lot, and the first time you go to use it, it's like, okay, I did this, but then this happened, but this wasn't in the instructions, and I don't know what I'm doing. And there's some days you just want to pitch the computer through the window, but then you learn and you grow, and it's an amazing. So Amanda, what has been going on with you since we recorded the last podcast?
Oh my goodness, so many things. I'd say that the huge majority of that is just really a lot of growth happening, a lot of growth in my own business. And I feel for so many people, especially those that were maybe potentially in the brick and mortar space, and even some people that were maybe just entering the online space. With COVID coming in, it really kind of made sure that all of us were adapting very, very rapidly, because that was the only choice we had, and we were all in this boat together doing it. So yeah, since the last interview, a lot of it has just been that continuous adaptation and pivoting, and then you pivot again to ensure that your business can stay on top of things and be of service to your audience in whatever capacity they need you to be there for them. So it's really just been a very, very constant evolution in being able to show up in different capacities as my own client base, their needs have shifted quite dramatically over the last little bit of time.
Have you found that people are more open now to like the things of technology and Facebook and ads and different things? Like, are you found that they want that more now, or is it kind of, no, I don't want to?
So with that, I'm going to say it's kind of a yes and a no. They definitely, I think the vast majority of people are seeing that online marketing and utilizing either paid advertising or even organic online marketing really became something that was necessary as we've been going through this past couple of years. So I don't know that it's necessarily that people were desiring and wanting to get into that boat per se, but out of the necessity of, again, staying current in your business and making sure that you make those necessary changes to keep up with the changes that are happening in the world. There was definitely a landslide of business owners, coaches, authors, speakers that were like, hey, the methods that I've used in the past, whether that's, face-to-face networking events, live conferences, things like that, as those types of connection points were no longer available, moving into the online space and developing that skill set to stay really relevant in the marketplace became the necessity. So yeah, while I'm not sure people, had there been that other option, we probably would have stayed with what we were doing, some of that, face-to-face interaction. But as entrepreneurs and authors, and the way we're wired is to adapt. We adapt, we change, we are problem solvers to the core. So when something comes our way, it's just our nature to find the solution, find what's going to work. And for so many people, it was okay, like let's shift this online. Let's start meeting those ideal prospects and clients and connection points in an online fashion. So definitely, everybody's been pivoting, maybe not out of what they wanted to do, but because that was, the necessary thing to get the job done. Here we all are.
I think that's true. And I think people had to change the way they looked at making connections with people. Because, for a lot of us entrepreneurs, it was in person, right? It's not that I didn't meet people online and that, but, my preferred method was, go to those conferences, go to those workshops, go to those networking meetings, make those connections. Now, I mean, I have clients, around the world, but I loved meeting people in person. And so, COVID, forced me to do everything online. And I think it's been an amazing time of growth for me, and my perspective on things have changed. And I've learned so much about just, it's not, you don't have to be in person to make that connection.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. We've all kind of adapted to learn how to build those relationships and build that deep connection, even though we are not in person. We are, separated by miles and miles, but we're still able to achieve that same outcome. We're just changing the way that we go about doing it.
So is there, for you, did COVID, was it one of those things where, COVID was hard for you and you learned some amazing lessons that you could share? Or was it, for some people, it was actually this time of kind of clarity because some of the things they were doing were now off of their plate and they actually had time to think. So I would love to hear your thoughts about, what kind of happened to you during COVID, and what are some of the lessons that you've learned?
Definitely. So I will say, even before running the digital agency that I run now, I did own a larger marketing firm even before this. So the working from home or working from a remote location where your team members and stuff are separate, that's kind of been how I've operated for quite some time. So that aspect I didn't have to adapt to too much. So I felt very blessed in that area, that working from home office is pretty much what I've done for nearly 13 years. So that part didn't change too much. The pieces that I found that really required a lot of kind of development and growth on my end were really from the perspective of developing what was going to work best for clients depending on where they were. So while I was used to delivering products and services and things that were suited to kind of how business used to be and what sort of solutions business owners, authors, and speakers were looking for, that changed quite a bit when there are, essentially a flood of everybody. I mean, really everyone that is in business kind of all shifted to the online space at once. So while I was used to saying, like, here are the different ways this can be accomplished, it really then kind of allowed me, or kind of challenged me, to step up to the plate in a different capacity and say, how can I serve people that are at various stages, all the way from obviously so many people coming in that were kind of brand new to the space. What can I develop that helps them get, 2 or 3 steps forward toward what they're looking for? Also keep my existing offers available to the clientele that I've served for years and years, and really kind of just adapting to fill that gap to what the current need is. And so in that aspect, going through COVID definitely challenged me to expand my own thinking around what my services were going to be, because they're now, again, always that problem solver. There are now, more people showing up with a different type of problem. How do I go about fixing that? How can I help them? And that, pushed me to evolve some of the stuff I was offering as well.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. I had to kind of change. My clientele really didn't change. but how I was serving them did, because a lot of their needs had now changed on top of that. So I totally get it. Um, I wanted to give you some time because, you are a Facebook ads specialist. That's how I consider you. And I know there's always things that are growing and changing. And I know the last time you were on, you gave some amazing training on Facebook ads. But I would love for you to just kind of, take about 5, 7 minutes and let's just talk about, where Facebook ads are, who should be using them, how they use them, just some really good, strong basics for my audience to take away with.
Yes, yes. So for sure, I am in Facebook Ads Manager like all day, every day. That is my happy place. That is my zone of genius. I am just all about ads. So some things to keep in mind, and really, so when I'm thinking about who are ads really designed for, so in my perspective, I tend to think they are designed for just about everyone that has a business and is looking for their ideal dream prospects. Like if that is you, if you have some sort of business and you're looking for the right people, then I think Facebook ads are definitely something that are suited to support your business. Now, a question I get a lot is, well, what if I'm brand new? Like, should I utilize ads if I'm brand new? My perspective is, do you want to grow quickly from the start, or do you want to decide to grow quickly a year from now? I mean, hey, whatever you want to do, but I tend to think like I want to see that forward progression as rapidly as I can. And typically then the next question is, well, if I'm brand new, I'm not going to have, a gigantic budget like these huge brands and these huge, stores and things like that. And I'm like, you don't need to start with a huge budget. You can absolutely start small and then scale as you've got, if you've got those consistent leads coming in, you're converting them into clients, then you can reinvest some into your ads. Like this can be very consistent, but also sustainable. Like you don't have to, come out of the gate with some gigantic ad budget. It's not necessary in order for you to still see that forward progress that you're looking for. And again, that's one of the, myriad of reasons that I really, really like paid advertising is it allows you to start small, but it's also a platform that is built to when, should you ever, get to the point that you have scaled to being, this really, really large brand or organization, you don't have to switch and learn something new. You're still in the same platform you started on. So I love the flexibility of it, and that essentially it's growing with you. It's already built for your end result, but you can start with it even when you're brand new. So I love that aspect about it too. So if we have a quick second, I would love to share just 3 things that if anyone is getting ready to run ads or is already running ads, they can go kind of really quick and check to see if they're doing this or making these mistakes. Do we have just a brief minute that I can share these?
Amanda, you go for it. I love this kind of stuff.
Fabulous. Okay. So whenever I am doing audits on someone's ad account, so let's say I get a call and someone's like, hey, I've been running ads. I'm not seeing the results I'm looking for, or I'm seeing a few results, but I don't like my cost per lead. Like, what do I do? What have I done wrong? It's typically one of these 3 things. So I'm going to share the 3 things so that you guys out there that are either already running ads, you can go check and see if you're doing this. Or if you're thinking about it, just jot these 3 things down so you know, hey, you've got the 3 key pillars in place that you're probably, really got your ads set up to be, highly productive and get you a lot of leads. So thing number 1 is make sure you are selecting the objective that you actually want. So at face value, you're like, well, duh. Of course I want to pick the thing that I want. But I see this get confused quite often. So typically, those of us that are in business, the thing that will correlate to an eventual client signing with you is typically someone becoming a lead with you or becoming a prospect with you. So leaving their name and email address, maybe their phone number, to get something from you, whether it's your freebie, your lead magnet, whatever it happens to be. But that's the main thing that most of us as business owners actually need. We need leads and prospects. So when you're setting up your ads, make sure you're saying that that's what you want. So when you're setting it up, you're either going to go with a conversion campaign or a lead generation campaign. They both will optimize for leads, but pick one of those 2 Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of engagement. You might get page likes. You might get a lot of other things, but it's not the leads you're looking for. So thing number one, tell Facebook the thing you actually want, and it's typically leads. Thing number two is all about who is that dream client of yours. I see sometimes people get into ads and they completely skip the step where you tell Facebook who it is you want. So just make sure when you're setting up your ads, you do go in and say, like, hey, this is the age range of people I work with. This is the location my ideal customers are in. Here are the interests. And for the vast majority of time, based on what it is that you help people with, there's probably an interest that people are already looking for that will help you narrow into your right people. Reason that helps you so much is that you're not wasting your ad dollars on people that don't care about what you do. So you'll make sure that your ads are being shown to the prospects that are already interested, which increases your conversion rates tremendously. So step two, just make sure you tell Facebook who you want. Now, third thing that is super, super important is the actual ad itself. So we want to make sure that the pictures or videos we're using, it's something interesting to your audience. It will at least slow down that scroll for a second and get them to look at the ad.
Yep.
Like if you're creating it and you're like, I don't know, well, then your audience is also going to think the same thing. So make sure it's intriguing. And then when we're talking about the text, the actual, message itself that's going to be in your ad, make sure what you're putting out there is irresistible to your audience. So what is something that they will absolutely jump on, they can't live without? So when we're thinking about your freebies or your lead magnets, how is that going to save them time or help them to get that quick win? Whatever moves them a little bit closer to that transformation that you ultimately provide is a perfect irresistible offer for your audience. And the other piece, make sure you tell them what to do. So if
a call to action.
Click the link below to get this irresistible thing that I created for you, or click the button, just make sure you're very clear on how they take that next step, because I've also seen that where people have started a campaign and weren't clear on how someone actually got the next step or left a link out. And so there's an error. So really those three key elements, if you've got that, you're well on your way to having a successful ad campaign. And vast majority, 9 times out of 10, if I'm doing a campaign audit and something is going terribly wrong, one of those three is missing. So if you got those, you're definitely moving in the right direction.
I really liked what you said. And, one thing I was thinking about is, I think sometimes, especially like small entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, authors, I think, we have this perception that we sell directly from Facebook. And many times I think that's the wrong thing. And that's why you're not getting the results you want, because it's very hard to sell directly. Maybe if you're selling a mug or something like that, you could do it, make the pictures really good and attractive and people click through and, they'll buy your mug, right? Type thing. But, if you're selling higher end products and services, you're not going to sell directly from Facebook, right? So I loved how you talked about the fact that you have to do that lead capture.
Kim, you are so spot on correct. And that's something I hear so often is people want to kind of jump that sale and go straight from, or have some perception that you can go straight from ad into some high ticket offer. But we really have to think about, we're all humans. Just because you have this, high ticket offer, people are not naturally just going to decide to pull out the credit card. It's still that human to human connection and building relationships and, nurturing that connection between you and that prospect that you've just generated. That aspect of business has not changed, nor do I ever see it changing. We are people coming together to help each other solve problems. And yes, it's all about leading with value, but that's just the start of a relationship. That's just the hello at a networking event. It's not hello, here's a $2,000 offer. You wouldn't do that at a face-to-face event, so don't do that online. What are we doing? You totally nailed it. Yes, if you're selling a $5 mug, yeah, you could probably do that. But, it's all about building the relationships, and this is the starting point. It's really allowing you to get more of those conversations started in a shorter period of time.
Yes.
So you're automating some of that aspect. But again, yeah, on the back end, yeah, you're still nurturing, you're still building relationships and rapport before you're making those high ticket offers.
And I think the other thing too is, a lot of times, um, from what I've learned in marketing, it's about making that introduction and gaining enough trust for them to make that first small purchase. So, one of the things that I'm going to be doing with my author to authority book, and I'm actually want to talk to you about this afterwards, is, have have the book just to pay the shipping model to get the book, right? Because that's a low cost investment to get them in the door and to start the relationship. So, that's what I was thinking about. And I'm actually thinking I need to talk to you because I want to do Facebook ads to do that. So we'll have a conversation about that. I think what you shared is really valuable. And, one of the things that is the foundation of becoming the authority in your niche, and this is marketing, this is sales, this is social media, all of that is really knowing who your client is. So I think, sometimes people who are new don't have that sense of who that perfect client is. And so they go in and they do Facebook ads, but like you said, they don't have any targeting, right? So now they're paying for their ad to go out to, let's say, 10,000 people when maybe they only need to target 500.
Yeah, that targeting is so important. And I will say the audiences are quite a bit larger than that when it comes to advertising. So that's exciting. So that even if you are in a really small kind of niche market, there are still a lot of folks out there that are probably looking for that very specific thing that you offer. But just making sure when it comes to those interest selects, you've got something that's as close to that, the audience that is looking for the solution to, what you have. And really dial that in as much as you can. And you can do some of that with testing, but definitely don't leave that wide open. Like, don't leave it wide open to everyone, because everyone is not your customer. Think about who that perfect one is.
Exactly. Well, Amanda, we're coming to the end here. How can people connect with you? And do you have something that you give away that they can use?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So on my website, so if you go to magneticmediagroup.com, right there in the header, you can download what I call the mega bundle, but it is a business building bundle. Honestly, over the years, I have created so many giveaways and freebies as opposed to having people sign up for each of them. I have them all in one spot. So there's, I think, 33 or 37 different things in the bundle. So you can request that at magneticmediagroup.com. I'm on Instagram if you guys want to connect there, just instagram.com, Amanda Tobinski, and that might be in the show notes because that's a fun one to spell. So yeah, you guys connect with me on Instagram or Facebook. And yeah, download that freebie bundle. Lots and lots of resources there. It helps you with advertising, all kinds of things. It's not just ads. There's some ad stuff, some mindset stuff, all kinds of goodies to help you to be more productive and get more of those highly targeted qualified leads for your business.
That is awesome. Now, I know you've been doing some Facebook Lives. I'm usually in the middle of something, but I get the notification that you're doing the live. So I'm like, she's really getting out there. So you also want to make sure you follow her on Facebook because, I catch a couple of minutes and then I'm off to do work with a client or something. So I don't always get to see them all. But, every time I listen to Amanda, it's like, oh, that's really good. Like, that's something I need to do and implement. So definitely follow Amanda on Facebook. So this has been Amanda Tobinski and Kim Thompson-Pinder on the Author to Authority podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day, everyone.